How do you know Alan Lloyd? Gwyn called relentlessly. You don't know anything, you don't. You're ignorant. I know what I know, and I know what I've seen. He had gone too far. He realised that before Alan sprang through his gate and followed his brothers up the path to the house, slamming the door behind him to emphasise his distaste for Gwyn's conversation. Gwyn was alone on the lane with Nerys, Nia and Kate. The three girls had lost interest in their posies and were staring at Gwyn in dismay. He could not bring himself to speak to them, and so passed by in an awkward silence. Half a mile further on he reached his grandmother's cottage, and knowing she was the only person in the world who would believe him, unceremoniously burst in upon her. He was astonished at what he saw. Nine had sewn up the red velvet dress. She was wearing it, standing in the centre of the room like some exotic bird, surrounded as she was by her flowering plants, gaudy paraphernalia. And she had something shining on her forehead, huge rings on her fingers, and round her waist a wide bronze chain. Nine! Where are you going? I'm staying here, his grandmother replied. This is my castle. I have to defend it. She was talking in riddles again. Gwyn decided to come straight to the point. Nine, I have something else from the wind last night. A silver pipe, and there were voices in it from far away. Ah, said Nine. Even the men whispered. Math could hear them. He could hear voices beyond any mortal ear. The pipe is from him. And something happened, Gwyn went on, in Arian Wen's web. As he spoke, his grandmother began to move about her room, but Gwyn knew she was attending to his story, and when he mentioned the girl in the web, she hovered before a huge gilt-frame mirror at the back of the room and said, Gwydion Gwyn, you will soon have your heart's desire. My heart's desire, said Gwyn. I believe I am a magician, but I'm not strong yet. I don't know if these things are happening to me because I have the power, or if they would have happened to anyone. You've forgotten the legends, haven't you, poor boy? Said Nine. I used to read them to you long ago, but your father stopped all that when Bethan went. He stopped all the fun, all the joy, but he couldn't stop you, could he? Because you are who you are. Now I'll read you something. In spite of the multitude of books scattered about the room, his grandmother always knew where to find the one she needed. From beneath a blue china dog supporting a lopsided lampshade, she withdrew a huge black book, its leather covered, scarred with age. The legends, she purred, stroking the battered spine. It looked so awesome and so old, Gwyn half expected a cloud of bats to fly out when his grandmother opened it. She furled the train of her velvet dress around her legs, settled herself on a pile of cushions and beckoned to him. Gwyn peered at the book over his grandmother's shoulder. It's in Old Welsh, she complained. I can't understand it. Ah, she sighed. I forgot. Listen, I'll translate. At dawn rose Gwydion, the magician, before the cock crowed, and he summoned to him his power and his magic. And he went to the sea and found dulse and seaweed, and he held it close and spoke to it. Then he cast it out over the sea, and there appeared the most marvellous ship. She turned the next few pages hurriedly, anxious to find the words that would convey to Gwyn what she wanted. Ah, here, she explained. Now you will understand. Then Gwydion's son subdued the land and ruled over it prosperously, and thereafter he became lord over Gwynedd. She closed the book triumphantly. Well, said Gwyn, I don't think I understand yet. He was our ancestor, that lord of Gwynedd, said Nine, and so, it follows, was Gwydion. But they're in a story, Nine. In spite of himself, Gwyn found he was repeating Alan's words. They're not real people. Not real? Nine rose tall and proud out of her chair. They're our ancestors, she said, glaring at Gwyn, and she slammed the book down upon the other pile on the table beside her. Gwyn winced as the cloud of dust flew into his face. A tiny jug tottered precariously beside the books, happily coming to rest before it reached the edge of the table. But how do you know, Nine? He quietly persisted. How do I know? How do I know? Listen. Nine settled back on the cushion and drew Gwyn down beside her. My great-great-grandmother told me. She was 100 years old and I was 10, and I believed her. And now I'll tell you something I've never told anyone, not even your father. She was a witch, my great-great-grandmother. She gave me the seaweed and the brooch and the whistle. Keep it for you know who, she said. And I did know who.